So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis. But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around.
Charlie Kirk just dropped a $100 million lawsuit bomb on Sunny Hostin and The View, and things got messier than your grandma's secret casserole recipe. What did he say? What crazy receipts does he have? And can Sunny even survive this verbal apocalypse? Stick around because this showdown's about to get uglier than a reality TV breakup, and trust me, you won't want to miss the drama unfolding.
But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last.
Charlie Kirk just shook the media world harder than a toddler with a sugar rush slapping The View. And yes, especially Sunny Hostin, with a $100 million lawsuit that's got everyone clutching their popcorn because nothing says I'm serious quite like demanding $100 million from a daytime talk show, right? That's not just a legal move. That's the kind of financial flex that screams, I'm either really mad or I've been binge watching too much courtroom drama.
Charlie Kirk took issue with this depiction of his organization. Kirk maintains that Turning Point USA is not affiliated with anti-Semitism or white supremacist. In a strongly worded tweet, the 28-year-old stated, "Talking to lawyers, many think we have a strong case. You cannot smear minors as and get away with it. It impacts them for the rest of their life. Hashtag sue the View." That's when TPUSA went all in. The organization changed its profile pic on Twitter to hashtag sue the View, posted a number of tweets condemning The View and demanding an apology.
Let's unpack this colossal clash without the usual boring legalese, shall we? Charlie Kirk, who's basically the human equivalent of a political firecracker, part activist, part instigator, all headline, has been on a mission to stir up trouble for years. Meanwhile, The View, that cocktail of daytime drama, hot takes, and celebrity gossip, has long been a battleground for ideological fireworks.
They have nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement? I think, Charlie, you could use the money, and your students definitely could too.
So, what exactly lit the fuse on this $100 million lawsuit? Dynamite, what did The View say that pushed Charlie Kirk from keyboard warrior to full-blown courtroom crusader? Well, it wasn't some casual chit-chat about whether or what celebrity had the worst haircut of the week. No, it was a juicy cocktail of sharp accusations, fiery rhetoric, and a verbal onslaught aimed squarely at Kirk and his political playground. Turning Point USA, you know those moments on daytime TV when the conversation heats up and someone pulls out the big guns? That's exactly what happened here. Sunny host, ever the legal eagle with a flair for dramatic commentary, reportedly made some scathing remarks about Kirk's character and the work of his organization. The kind of remarks that would make any PR team break into a cold sweat and start drafting frantic apology emails. The gist was that Kirk's group was being painted not just as a bunch of right-wing activists, but as instigators of misinformation and political chaos, basically the villainous masterminds in a real-life political soap opera. Of course, in the world of political commentary, accusations fly faster than Twitter trolls at midnight, but Kirk didn't just shrug this off as par for the course. Nope. According to the lawsuit, the statements crossed the line from heated opinion into full-blown defamation. In Kirk's world, these weren't just hurtful words. They were a direct assault on his reputation, his career, and the very foundation of Turning Point USA. Imagine hearing someone accuse you of basically orchestrating chaos and misinformation live on TV with millions watching. That's enough to ruin a few good nights' sleep and apparently enough to justify a lawsuit with a 9-figure price tag.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the
Specifics. Though remember, this isn't a direct transcript from The View, but more like the spark that set this legal wildfire ablaze. The claims focus on allegations that host and her fellow co-hosts publicly accused Kirk of dishonest practices, manipulation, and spreading harmful misinformation. These aren't your garden variety insults. They're serious accusations that can damage public trust and business partnerships. In the cutthroat arena of politics, reputation is currency, and according to Kirk's lawyers, these comments were like throwing acid on a brand new dollar bill. What makes this lawsuit even more eyebrow-raising is the astronomical figure attached. $100 million, that's not just pocket change or the cost of a fancy vacation. That's a number that could buy an island or at least a moderately sized yacht with an angry legal team on board. So why such a high number? Defamation cases, especially those involving public figures, require proof not just that someone said something untrue, but that it caused serious, measurable damage. The law demands proof that the statements were false, damaging, and made with actual malice, meaning the speaker knew they were false or recklessly ignored the truth. That's a hefty burden, and why most defamation cases involving celebrities and political figures often settle quietly behind closed doors. The legal system tends to discourage these giant headline-grabbing lawsuits because they clog the courts and rarely produce clear winners.
Turning Point conference, were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs and the I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against these against the Nazi flags that were.
And here's the kicker. Most lawsuits like this don't end with a dramatic courtroom showdown. The legal world is more about negotiation and compromise than gladiatorial battles. Settlements happen, cases get dismissed, and occasionally someone waves a white flag with a public apology that's as carefully worded as a politician dodging a question. But when you're talking about $100 million, the pressure is enormous and the stakes couldn't be higher. Kirk's legal team no doubt has done their homework and thinks they have a case that's more solid than a rock concert's decibel levels. They're probably hoping that by going big, they'll either force a settlement that benefits their client or scare others into thinking twice before mouthing off on national television. It's like saying, mess with me and you might just lose your house or at least a really expensive settlement. Meanwhile, the lawsuit's filing sends a chilling message to media outlets and talk show hosts everywhere. The line between fiery debate and legal liability is thinner than ever. It's a reminder that in today's hyper-partisan world, words aren't just words. They're potential landmines as the dust settles and lawyers sharpen their pencils. Everyone's waiting to see if this lawsuit will fizzle out like so many before it or blow up into a landmark case. Redefining political discourse. Will The View fold under the pressure? Will Kirk's team strike a deal? Or are we headed for a courtroom drama that will make daytime TV look like a nap?
So on Monday, we talked about the fact that there were openly demonstrators outside the Florida Student Action Summit of the Turning Point USA group. We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited or endorsed by Turning Point USA. A Turning Point USA spokesman said the group, quote, 100% condemns those ideologies and said Turning Point USA security tried to remove the neo from the area, but could not because they were on public property. Also, Turning Point USA wanted us to clarify that this was a Turning Point USA summit and not a Republican Party event. So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
One thing's for certain. This legal saga has everything: money, media, politics, and enough drama to keep even the most cynical news junkie hooked. Stay tuned because this isn't just a lawsuit. It's a spectacle wrapped in legal jargon, garnished with political fireworks, and served with a side of, did that really just happen? And here's the kicker. When Charlie Kirk lobbed that $100 million lawsuit grenade, you'd think The View would pull out the big guns with a counterblast, right? Maybe a fiery statement, a courtroom-ready clapback, or at least a dramatic eye-roll broadcast live for maximum ratings. Nope, silence. Crickets chirping like it was the calm before the storm, or maybe just a strategic pause to let the legal fireworks do their thing. No public smackdowns, no passive-aggressive tweets, not even a nice try. Soundbite Sonny Hostin, and The View seem to have mastered the art of ignoring the giant legal elephant in the room, like it's just another Monday. Meanwhile, social media exploded faster than a soda can shaken by a toddler. Twitter turned into a roast fest, meme factories kicked into overdrive, and late-night comedians practically begged for a Netflix special based solely on this saga. Some called it a lawsuit straight out of a daytime soap opera. Others joked it was the most expensive episode of The View ever.
Welcome back. You know, in Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me, and it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, the state, the U.S.
Over the weekend, Turning Point USA hosted a riveting event in Tampa, Florida called the Student Action Summit. Outside of the event were individuals waving flags and engaged in other activities. Well, on Monday's show, members of The View made a few comments about it.
The conservative group Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
But let's zoom out and ask the bigger question here. Why is this more than just a headline? Hogging lawsuit, what does it say about the world we live in where political beefs jump off the screen and into courtrooms faster than you can say cancel culture? This isn't just a case about words or reputations, it's a reflection of a society so polarized that even daytime TV chatter can lead to a legal battlefield. It's the messy intersection of free speech, political vendettas, and media sensationalism where everyone's trying to claim the moral high ground while throwing the lowest blows. And here's the delicious irony: lawsuits like this one have a way of chilling speech when a casual jab on. A talk show can trigger a $100 million lawsuit, it makes you wonder if anyone will ever speak their mind again without checking with their lawyers first. Is this really about protecting reputations or about raising the stakes so high that people just keep their mouths shut, or worse, escalate the drama to absurd levels because that's what gets clicks, views, and yes, lawsuits? So what do you think? Is Charlie Kirk's legal thunderbolt a genuine defense of his good name, or just another over-the-top political stunt dressed up in a suit?